Well, good morning. Or afternoon, whenever you're watching this. Just an old guy, back in 2016, heard the term flat earth. Thought that was the dumbest, most idiotic, moronic thing I ever heard. Because as a child, everything I seen was a globe. In movies, TV, the library, in school. Everybody talked about the moon landing. Go figure, the dog gets up. He always does that, but anyhow, side of the story. Thought that was the dumbest thing I ever heard. So I set out, like many others, to prove that was a joke. Did I live on a ball flying through infinite universes, rotating around the sun, even though I believed in God and the Word of God and the Bible? I was never taught. I never really looked into it. Then once I started looking down that rabbit hole, it opened up many other rabbit holes, but we won't go there. So I thought I'd sit down here and make a little flat earth video. Most people that see this already know they don't live on a fairy tale, magical mystery ball being hurtled through the universe. Here's my ball. I've used this many times before. Let's start out with the moon. NASA and your government and the library books and the television programming tells you that this is about the difference in size, right? And that we only see one side of the moon at all times as it goes around this magical ball. Right? Okay. If that's the case, the only possible way, and I don't care what kind of pseudoscience you try to use to say that the Earth rises and sets on the moon. If the moon is facing this ball Earth, the only possible way you could see the Earth standing on the moon would have to look straight up over your head. You would not see the surface of the moon. Everything they've ever taught you about the moon landing in all these other countries with their space programs going to the moon is nothing but a blatant lie from the devil. The liar and murderer from the beginning. So, let's go ahead with one other before I go any further on that. Let's say this is the the sun, and you're on this ball, and you're facing the night sky. Mercury and Venus are back here, between you and the Earth as you're facing that night sky. There is absolutely no possible way, none, zero possibility that you've ever seen Mercury and Venus in the night sky if they're between you and this 93 million mile away sun, because they would have to be out in your night sky for the reflection of this to shine upon them, for you to be able to see them. But if you're on a flat stationary Earth where the equator is always in the middle, never changes, and if you watch the sun, regardless of what hemisphere you're in, it makes this rotation around this flat stationary Earth right above the clouds in the firmament. Just look up and use a little common sense and a couple of brain cells, you've never seen Mercury or Venus. But on a flat, stationary Earth, you have. They are the wandering stars. Not some solid rock that man can land on. They've never been to the moon. They've never been to Mars. They've never been to Saturn. They've never sent these giant things out into space, sending back all this CGI cartoons. Never. Never. Pardon me. And let's just use their philosophy on 93 million miles away, right? The sun, 93 million miles away from the Earth. Utter darkness. Pitchness of blackness of space. Can anybody answer me if that's true? When does that darkness go away? When you get 10 million miles away from the sun? When you get 5 million miles away from it? Light cannot exist through darkness. Light takes away the darkness. There is no darkness between this 93 million miles away and this thing that you stand on. Impossible. Go into a pitch black room and turn on a light. Where'd the darkness go? Oh, but it hit the atmosphere. Yeah, right. Cool story, man. Cool friggin' story. But if it's in the clouds right above you, going around in its circuit, going out of your perspective as it leaves, which they tell you is going over the curve, if that's the case, as soon as it goes over that curve, it should get pitch black. But no, you have the twilight. The light stays because it's still in your perspective, but just too far away to see it. If it goes over this ball, it would instantly turn black where you're at. When it went over that horizon, use your common sense. Don't listen to this friggin' pseudoscience. And if you're on this ball, and they tell us that the equator, around this 24,000 mile circumference, is the warmest sector of this earth. But our seasons change as we tilt away from it or toward it. If that's the case, your equator never remains the same. Your tropical zone changes every day as your magical, mystical, fairy tale ball turns and rotates and goes through infinite universes. Impossible. Or here's another one. If I'm in Indiana up here, and that light and that heat coming from 93 million miles away hits this little tiny ball, wintertime, it could be 30 degrees in Indiana. I can travel 1,000 miles south to Florida and gain 50 degrees in temperature from something 93 million miles away. Impossible. But if the sun is making its circuit around this flat stationary earth, we don't know exactly how the flat earth map actually works. We're not privy to that. We're not billionaires that can push a digital button and make all the money they want to do whatever they want and to lie to you on their television programming. The equator never changes, and you would see Mercury and Venus in the night sky. It's all a blatant lie from the devil, and all of these politicians and space industries, they serve Lucifer, their sun god. The devil. If you just open your minds and think and use critical thinking and look up and just observe and think, how is that really true, what they're telling me? That my seasons change from a tilt Where did the equator go? How could I see Earth standing on the moon and still see the moon's surface? How could I see Mercury and Venus in the night sky? And where did that darkness go for 93 million miles? But you see these stars that are trillions of light years away. Break that down sometime. Just break that down. What a trillion miles is. What a light year is. And tell me how big that thing must be for you to be able to see it. But if it's in the firmament, like God said he put the sun and the moon and the stars in the firmament, between the waters above and the waters below. That's just my little take on the flat earth. Like it or not. I've been on this journey for almost 10 years now, and I cannot find one concrete proof that anything, any government, any space industry has ever shown me to be true. It's all pseudoscience. It's all CGI friggin' cartoons. Down the road.